Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ask Adam Live. ASK is an acronym for Always Seek Knowledge. One thing I found in this life, as I like to call it, many of you who are familiar with the broadcast, as I always seem to speak in those terms, is to always try to learn something. Wake up each day with the eagerness to learn something new, and not that you already know it, but take what you already know and what more you could learn to apply to it or to help enhance your life. Whether it's learning how to maybe eat better or how to live your life a little better, how to exercise a little more effectively, just to learn that little tidbit of something each day, I think makes your best life. And that's what brings us to this week's episode is leading with confidence and clarity. When we have a healthy mindset, when we have kind of a healthy lifestyle, when we do things with purpose, you'll start to find something uniquely interesting is that others will follow those who boldly live their life by kind of demonstrating that they're living their dream, which comes out in being happy as well. Let's get into this week's episode of leading with confidence and clarity, allowing those to boldly follow our example. Welcome to the show. Leading with confidence and clarity, when you lead with unwavering confidence and transparency, you inspire those around you to envision a brighter future. By articulating your dreams clearly and showing genuine belief in your realization, you create a sense of shared purpose. This also fuels and motivates the collaboration from your team and those around you. Now, those of you who are interested in learning how to cultivate an atmosphere of bold, dream-driven leadership, stay tuned. I'm going to share with you a couple of steps that will allow you to share with your team and with your business how to lead with confidence and clarity. First of all, you got to own your vision. Be unapologetic. Boldly share your aspirations and why they matter with your team. Don't downplay the significance or the impact of your goals. It's interesting when others understand fully why you want something, kind of what you're going after, what your company's vision and mission is. And once they kind of understand a little bit of the backstory behind that, a little bit of your Simon Sinek's why, now you've changed the trajectory of why they're following you. You've maybe put in more focus their why of why they're following you. You see, this candor demonstrates courage, positioning others that you're worth following. And remember to stay true to your core values. Align every decision to be backed by your true principles, what you stand for. And don't waver from that. When you have team meetings, you should be reciting your mission statement. You should be repeating what you're doing business for, who your ideal client is, reminding yourself each and every moment that you're together like that in those team meetings, what you're there for and why you're doing something. This is important because it always reminds each one, not necessarily their place in the hierarchy, but just in general, why everyone is doing something together. And when they have the opportunity to make their independent decisions based on your company, they are going to do it with that mindset, with your mindset, the mindset you continuously have repeated to them. They're going to be thinking with your mind. when making those decisions. And therefore, they're acting like you and with you. That's the perfect team to have. So stay true to your core values. When people see that your actions match your words, they're more likely to invest in your dream as well. They're more likely to put in that extra effort. They're more likely, not conditionally, but more of an all in, more of a, we're doing this for the greater good. And quite frankly, I know you can't take the greater good to the bank, but I think it gives one a much better feeling about doing the work, knowing that it's for something greater than putting something in the bank as far as a deposit. That's all great too. Nobody wants to work for free. But again, I think that the going home with a filled heart, knowing that what you do for a living for someone with someone is profound. That leads to a pretty tremendous life. You also want to communicate with clarity. Speak simply and powerfully. Avoid jargon or overly complex language. Provide a clear path forward. Where it is you want the company to go. Maybe some of the steps that you'd like the company to take. Maybe even throw out some specific goals you'd like to see the company take on with their help. And they may also be in tune to seeing that, where when those opportunities come available, they're going to present it to you as, hey, I think we're going to see some future growth in the company. We're negotiating with this client, or it's important that we do this because of the doors that it can open. Based on what you've shared in the future, this could be that step forward. See, when people understand the objective, they can rally more effectively behind it. They also create that emotional resonance with that idea. Like I mentioned, when that pathway opens up with an opportunity that you're not privy to, but it's through their conversations, through their position in the company, they're thinking with your mind, and they're thinking, this might be the next step, and they're going to bring that to you suggestively. Hey, this might be our next step opportunity. This may be that future growth we were expecting. Here it is. But if you're not sharing those goals with your team members, they don't know. And when those opportunities come available during their exchanges that you're just not involved with, and that's on purpose because you're doing other things in your business, that it allows them to participate. It allows them to put a certain activity that generates this to say, hey, I was a part of it, rather than just doing a task. Does that make sense? It puts a little bit more personality into it, that they participated in knowing the vision, seeing the vision, and being aware of when that vision and that opportunity came to play. Does that make sense? And I think this also makes for helping to develop really star team members that are going to help build your business, and dare I say, may even go on and build their own business just based on what they've learned through your business. And this ultimately is probably one of the greatest forms of, nope, not flattery, mentorship. Share the personal stories or real life examples that illustrate your vision. Allow them to paint that picture in their mind, just as you have a vision of what you're expecting. Help them see the picture as well, or what's important about the picture. We all can look at the Mona Lisa and see different things. So let's allow others to see a little bit of what you see in that particular portrait that may be different than what they're seeing. And part of that is through collaboration and conversations, through the meetings, again, through the mission statement, reminding everyone our why. What are we here for? What are we looking to accomplish? Are we setting new goals for the year? Share that with the team. Let them know where you're looking to go. And again, they're going to see those opportunities maybe ahead of the path, or at least because they're looking at the path, whereas you're looking beyond the path as the leader. Demonstrate unshakable confidence. Lead by example. Show your willingness to do the work required, whether it's taking on challenges or learning new skills. If it's something new that you're integrating into your business, not that you have to know everything, but certainly understand the basics of, say, a new program, a new client retention management system. Understand so that when you share with your team, hey, we need to do this, you understand that that system in place is able to do that because you kind of have an idea. Now, obviously, if it's something a little neat, new, and different, you're going to ask that team member to maybe investigate to see if it's possible. But certainly when it comes to just a general task, know that it's possible with that system, and you're not asking your team member to do something that's just not possible with the systems you have in place. So understand a little bit of what it takes to do the work. And quite frankly, a lot of that comes from, if you know a little bit of the ground up aspect of the business and you've done some of that hard work yourself already, okay, you're exempt from this part of the program. But if you kind of catapulted through something because of various events and you didn't really go through what they call the school of hard knocks, where you learn through a lot of trial and error, really don't be afraid to kind of just double back a little bit and look at those systems that you have in place for people. Just because somebody said it was a great idea and a great system and you implemented it and then you told your team, hey, I'm told this is a great system, go figure it out. Well, that's going to be a little frustrating. Now, even though your team is probably tech savvy and they get it and they understand it, it's going to be frustrating when you're leading them and you're coming back to them and saying, hey, I need to put this in place. And they say, well, this system just doesn't do that. That's not a good look for the leadership. Doesn't show confidence. But if you know a little bit about the system and you know what it can do, well, now you can lead with confidence by saying, hey, this system is in place because it's part of our values, because it's part of our system to always follow up with people, and it has what we need. It has those tools. Now, sure, you can always instruct the team to call up tech support and say, hey, we really like your system and program, but here's something we keep running into. Here's the wall of option that is just not available in your system. Is it just something you can code and change? You may help that other company become a little bit more innovative. If you're having that concern, other companies are having that concern as well. So again, even if it's just on a weekend, grab a cup of coffee, sit at your desk, do the quick webinar where it's a little hour session that just rolls through the basics. As a leader, it really would it benefit you to do this, to learn this new skill. And again, it's not because you're using it every day, but at least you understand the system and the tools that you've handed your team, and it wasn't just based on a review of a brochure, the short sheet that said, hey, this is a great tool for your business, for the business that you're in. So leaders get involved a little bit. And I think when doing this, the other part of this is that the leader's determination is contagious. Your self-assurance encourages others to step up. So when you can come to them and say, hey, here's the 5 most important tools that this program, that this system is going to help us with, and why it's important to the business, and you share that with the team, wow, that's a game changer. Because now they feel like you're invested. They see the confidence that you have in the system, and they're going to step up their game. And you might find they're going to come back to you and go, hey, you mentioned only 5. I found 10 tools. I found other implementations, right? Because you kind of subliminally challenged them by your knowledge, and they want to kind of up their knowledge with your knowledge, right? They want to impress you as a leader. They want to show and share with you that they've not only learned, but they're willing to take those extra steps to make the business better based on the mission statement that you've shared with them in the dream. They may even do this on their own, and you didn't even have to ask them. That is the sign of a true leader, is when you have people following you in just that way. And also, be open to, here comes that word, constructive feedback. And it may be the team comes back to you and says, hey, boss, I'm not really sure why we put this tool in place, because you mentioned 5. It honestly does about 2. And I've done some research, attended a couple webinars, and I'm just not finding that it's the best for our business. But again, you subliminally challenge them. Hey, but I went online and I found this option. And although it's a $umpteen a little bit more, a little bit less, but it offers the 5 things you did say were possibly part of this. Again, it makes you a much better leader to take that feedback and say, wow, I really appreciate that. Yeah, brochure didn't say that. Here's what aligns more with our business. Let's go with that. And again, they're going to run with that and with that information that it provides. Like I said, investigate that even more to find those tools that are going to help your business even better in the position that they lead with your business. So being open to suggestions and perspectives isn't a sign of weakness. It's actually a hallmark of self-assured leadership. See, confident leaders, they use feedback to refine their ideas, never losing sight of the ultimate dream. And again, it's your why. And when you've got other people understanding your why, again, they're going to take the time to understand the system and the process, maybe a little bit more than you understand it. And then they're going to bring that back to the table and share with you, hey, here's something that could really be a game changer for our company. And by keeping them sort of on that thought line, you're going to find more and more innovative ideas are coming from your team, quite frankly, on a regular basis. So don't be afraid to learn, and don't be afraid to learn from them things that maybe you didn't know or understand. And again, it's not the weakness of a leader, it's the understanding of how your team is processing basically what you're giving them. And it does, in the end, make you a better leader through that feedback. See, it's kind of a loop. Can you picture that? Cultivative collective ownership. Again, empower your team. As I mentioned earlier, delegate responsibilities that align with each person's strengths and passions. Don't have someone who is good at marketing be running the accounting line, right? If they're good with the visuals and the tech and to master the SEO systems and the CRMs, don't have them crunching numbers. But if you have somebody that's really good at crunching numbers and putting together data analysis sheets and stuff like that, working with Excel or whatever that program is that you prefer, follow with their strengths and passions and understand that as a leader to kind of go immediately understand their position, what their strengths and their weaknesses are, and move and pivot and grow with those immediately. If you've ever tried to move a tree that's grown for 20 years, it's not easy, but you can replant a sapling pretty quick. And so, as I've always said in other statements, you want to kill the monster while it's a baby. Well, you want to kind of move this tree when it's small, when it's manageable, and then allow them to grow where they most thrive. And like I mentioned earlier, when people own a piece of the dream, they become more invested in its success. They're going to do a little bit of that extra work. They're going to seek out innovative ideas. You might even find that they're doing some research that will benefit the company on their off time. When they have that aligned mindset with your company and even out socially with friends or family, and there's conversations that spark some ideas because their mind is lined with your why and your missions, they're constantly thinking about it just like you are. So it's like multiple minds thinking sort of on one idea. And they may show up on a Monday morning with something just out of the blue. And you're like, well, where did that come from? Well, they were out socially thinking about your company and your business because they felt like they had some invested stake in its success, right? So appreciate that and don't take that for granted. And when they come to the table with a really good idea and that idea is implemented, celebrate that milestone together and that shared success, even if it's a small win or maybe a big breakthrough or just a few personal achievements along the way. These are all steps in growing your business. So don't set aside that a team member is just a team member and they're just doing what they do. When they understand the big goal of your business, they're going to act accordingly, whether they're at work in the business, whether they're on a hybrid role doing something virtually, or whether they're even out on their own personal free time, they're still thinking about the business and how some innovative ways could be applied. So, yeah, don't be afraid to share. And persist a little bit through some adversity, right? Show resilience. Failures and setbacks honestly are inevitable, but a confident leader acknowledges them, learns from them, and continues to move forward in spite of them. This resilience builds trust and inspires people to persevere. If you have a setback, if you have a slight loss in your business, continue to maintain the hope and positivity that it's just a speed bump. It's in the road. And if you have that mindset, and if you've shared that with your team as what this is all about, you're all going to kind of go over that small wave or hump together with hope and positivity, with the attitude that, it's just a slight bump in the road, right? And tough times, they don't last. They're not going to create this huge cloud of defeat for your team, that it's actually a joyful experience, that you all learn something together and that you experience something together. And it's through this learning and through sharing your optimism and strength encourages others to do the same. And that's how you're going to kind of weather those small storms as a team. I hope you found value in today's episode. Although it was short, it still, I feel, has valuable information about being a good leader. So whether you're leading your own home, leading your own business, or just trying to get your own self together, share with yourself your why and your dream. Share with your team your why and your dream. Share with your company, with those immediately involved, and then let that ripple out through your leadership to other team members what's important. See, confidence and clarity, when paired with a transparent vision, form a bedrock of compelling leadership by boldly revealing your dreams and consistently acting in alignment with them. You inspire others to see what's possible and to join you in making it real. Here's to the best in your business. And remember, if you enjoyed this episode, click like or subscribe. If you think someone might find benefit with this episode, certainly share it with them. Greatly would appreciate that. Because again, if we don't share with each other what and why we're doing something, well, then we're just kind of doing it by ourselves. And quite frankly, that's not going to get you too far just doing something by yourself. In fact, it's going to be much harder. So I'll leave you with this. Always seek knowledge to be a better leader. Now let's go out and make it a great day.